Bloody hell! Isn't Roman Reigns a good heel? I don't know why nobody thought to turn him heel sooner. Why didn't we think of that, guys? Jesus Christ. Thank you very much for tuning in to the live reactions last night. Clash of Champions, wonderful show. You can check out what happened at right now on the channel. Graded coming up a little bit later with Tom Campbell. But for now, let's take a look at some wrestling news, shall we? The Undertaker has teased a WWE return, but says when he does so, he will be scrapping the Deadman character. We have an injury update following Clash of Champions last night, and WWE have announced the draft. We'll tell you everything you need to know in a bit. So we are kicking things off with the news that The Undertaker has teased a return to WWE. I thought he was retired. They said so in the documentary. Colour me surprised. I can't believe it. So yeah, he recently did a Q&A for IGN to promote WWE 2K Battlegrounds. And he was asked a bunch of questions by IGN viewers, and one of them really stood out. It was a statement from Sim Armstrong, and he didn't really even ask a question. He just said, "My favourite version of Taker is Big Evil, just a kick-ass big guy. That's all I needed. Bring back Big Evil." And Mr. Mark Calloway responded to this, saying, "Well, we kind of brought back a version for AJ in the Boneyard." And he had previously said, like in the documentary, that what we saw in that Boneyard match was like an amalgamation of numerous Taker gimmicks sort of rolled into one. And he continued, "I think that's where we're at and where we'll move forward when I do make appearances on TV." So he's not really teased like an in-ring return or anything, but I think we all know that that is going to happen. But he's basically saying there that when he does return for whatever in-ring segment that he does, that it's not going to be the Deadman character. It appears that when we see Taker on our screens in WWE again, it's going to be what we saw in the Boneyard, so sort of a more sort of biker Taker thing, which, you know, I'm all for, I guess. There's nothing that... He's got such presence, I guess. And when the Deadman character comes out, we've seen it for such a long time, and that gong, and then he takes 20 minutes to get to the ring. There's just something really special about it. So I guess I'll be sad not to see that anymore, but it was really cool, wasn't it? That Boneyard match was class, and if that's where he wants to go with the character, then cool. And if he does have another match, which I think is inevitable, I don't think any of us believe that he's retiring from in-ring competition for good. I actually think, at this point in his career, I'd rather see that amalgamation of characters, the more sort of biker Taker character, than the Deadman, because we've seen it for quite a long time now. So we don't know when he'll be back. I guess they'll probably do Saudi Arabia at some point early next year, so maybe there. Money and all that. So yeah, don't expect to see the Deadman anytime soon. Next up, we have an injury update regarding Angel Garza following the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. If you didn't see the show, a bit of a scary moment during the Raw Tag Team title match between the Street Profits and Angel and Andrade. Angel's in the ring, takes a spine buster from Angelo, and immediately starts grabbing what looked like his thigh and his crotch. And then the referee very quickly throws up the X. It was very clear that Angel was hurt. He's being tended to then on the outside by doctors. Andrade comes in to finish the match, and he's pinned, 2 count, and he kicks out. It's a really obvious his shoulders up, but the referee, obviously wanting to finish the match as quick as possible, calls for the bell anyway. That's it, and the Street Profits retain the tag team titles. Now, there was loads of speculation online, as there always is with this stuff. Some fans believing that it was a work, it wasn't a real injury. I think, to be honest, it was pretty obvious that it was a real injury from the way it played out and how serious it looked. We've got a minor update on Angel Garza, and one that I think is pretty positive. This is from PW Insider. And their sources indicate that the injury, which was believed to be like a leg injury, actually looks to be related to his hip, so not his leg. And they say Garza will be getting checked out to confirm, but the belief is that the injury may not be as serious as initially feared. So it did look pretty scary there, like in the way that they wrapped the match up as quick as possible, sort of indicated that yeah, it might be a pretty bad one. But I guess positive news there. We don't know for sure, and I don't think we'll know for probably another day or so exactly what's up. Maybe they'll announce something on Raw tomorrow night, but of course we will keep you updated. When we know, you will know. Next up, WWE have announced an upcoming draft, or Superstar Shakeup if you're a bloody loser. I love a draft. I'm well up for a draft. I'm going to live stream reactions to both draft episodes. So it kicks off not this coming Friday, but the following Friday. That's Friday the 9th of October. And then the second episode of the draft will take place on Raw, which is on the 12th of October. So yeah, live streaming both of them. Yeah, the draft is great. Bring back the bloody tombola thing, eh? So off the top of my head, obviously we don't know who's getting drafted, but I was trying to think of likely ones. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below, obviously. I think it's pretty likely that we'll see AJ head over to Raw. First of all, because I think he'd be a really nice feud for Drew, where obviously we've just had an ambulance match with all sorts of shenanigans, some of the faces that popped up last night, pretty unexpected. I thought it was largely pretty fun, but I think Drew could now do with having some proper wrestling matches, and who better to provide those than AJ Styles. But also because Paul Heyman is now on SmackDown, and those two don't get along, so AJ might prefer to be on the red brand. Speaking of that ambulance match, Randy Orton, I think would be good to head over to SmackDown. I mean, I don't want to... It wasn't like Randy was written off at Clash of Champions or anything like that, but it certainly seems like the end of his feud with Drew. He's on the run of his career right now, and SmackDown could probably use him pretty well, and so I think Randy might head over there. Otis, I think, is a good shout for heading over to Raw to join Mandy and maybe definitively split up Heavy Machinery. There's been reports that Otis is very much viewed as a singles guy, which isn't to say that we haven't seen him team with Tucky as Heavy Machinery and all that, but they don't want to... It doesn't seem like they want to break up Otis and Mandy, so maybe that's the way to do it, and maybe he escapes with the briefcase over to Raw, leaving Miz on SmackDown. It wouldn't surprise me if they just straight up swap the tag champions around, send the Street Profits to SmackDown, and get Shinsuke and Cesaro on Raw. Maybe Nia and Shayna over on SmackDown as well. Who knows? Obviously, Nia and Shayna weren't there. So a quick update on that as well. Nia and Shayna were, of course, due to defend the women's tag team titles against the Riot Squad last night. That didn't happen. WWE said it's because they weren't cleared to compete, but it's fairly obvious this is probably a COVID-related thing. And then Nia went on Twitter and was like, oh, my tag partner is expecting. And we're like, okay, well, yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe that's the reason. But it became clear that it was all a joke. And then Shayna, a couple of hours later, tweeted, I'm expecting to die from a broken heart caused by the Vikings. It was a big old sporting joke. So yeah, no women's tag match, and I guess don't expect to see them or Nikki either, who wasn't on the show last night, for a few weeks. And finally, TBar has rinsed Eric Bischoff on Twitter. Retribution on Twitter have been fantastic. Was expecting to see them last night at Clash of Champions. Pretty surprised not to. In fact, aren't they just lovely lads? They don't mind wrecking Raw, but they won't touch a pay-per-view. Now that's what I call manners. Anyway, TBar and co have been gold on Twitter, and genuinely might save this awful gimmick, because they've been very funny indeed. It's very they could get over just with social media, but there's no crowd to cheer for them. WWE aren't going to start pumping in cheers and laughs, and so I think they're going to struggle. I don't think this is going to translate to TV very well, but they're all worth a follow, is what I'm saying. Anyway, he's ripped into Eric Bischoff, because Eric Bischoff, on 83 weeks, started basically just going, Retribution sucks. Understandable, nothing wrong with that. TBar took to Twitter saying, thank you, Eric Bischoff. You are a huge inspiration for Retribution. We too aspire to one day destroy $1 billion wrestling company and bury it under fiery wreckage. They've been great. They've been so bloody funny, and they're making the best of a bad situation, aren't they? What else can they do? They can go on Twitter and get torn apart by fans, which they're doing anyway. Like, the fans are still tearing them apart, but they're proving that they're quite witty and quite funny, and they know the creative sucks. They know the names suck. They know the masks suck. So they're doing the best they can. And consider me a Retribution fan. And take that, Eric Bischoff. That'll show you. So yeah, thank you very much. I'm off to bed now. It is 4:07 in the morning, so I'm going to go and get some sleep. Thank you once again to everybody who tuned in to the live stream, the live reaction stream last night. Really enjoyed it. I will see you now tonight for Raw reactions. That starts at 1 a.m. BST. I hope to see you there. There are a few Pachiti Mania fan packs. There's like 20 left at the time of recording. They might be gone by the time this video comes up. But that's cultaholicshop.com. You get signed, massive poster, wristband, lanyard, lovely stuff. Yeah, I'm blabbing on now. So I'm going to go to bed. I love each and every single one of you. That was creepy. Don't know why I did that. See ya!